Hello and welcome to another episode of Spoilercast. This is episode 7, Porcelain Poltergeist. Roper, along with Jareth, Mike, and Dire Monkey explore the world of haunted objects. It's a great episode, and we may actually have been breaching the veil as there were some unexplained incidents in the studio. You'll have to give it a listen to find out what I mean. Heading over to the calendar, our next episode does not compute. An episode covering AI movies such as Chappie and The Matrix will drop the 29th of April, along with the first episode of Agents of Sir. Agents of Sir is a new podcast featuring Max Delgado and Josh Jones, exploring comic-related TV and movies. They will recap the month for you as well as bring you up to speed on what's coming. The following episode will be Excelsior. The whole crew, we hope that is, will be discussing Age of Ultron and all comic book movies and TV thus far. This will be a crossover episode with the newly formed Agents of Sir. Be sure to check out spellbook.com for some awesome games for your PC, Android, and iOS device, and take over the universe. Also, if you have not yet read Ragnarok Rising by D.A. Roberts, be sure to head over to Amazon and check out the whole series. Coming soon, Ragnarok Rising, the expandable card game by All Tower Media. We have taken the wonderful world of D.A. Roberts' Ragnarok Rising universe and put it down in a survival card game. Be sure to stay tuned for more information on that. Now perk up your air holes, boys and girls. It's time for another episode of Spoilercast, recorded in the dark with fear at Spellbook Studios.
Welcome to our 7th episode of Spoilercast by All Tower Media. Tonight I've got Mike with us.
Go to your closet and find your porcelain dolls and put them in a pile and set them on fire.
That sounds like a good plan. Jareth, you're sitting here as well.
Yeah, I'm back on the scraw chair. So.
And as normal, running our master control for us this evening, we have Dire Monkey from right here at Spellbook Studios.
That was the angriest fucking vegetarian I've ever heard in my life.
God damn it.
Hey, it happens. It happens. You know, there are people allowed to be angry, and
it's out there now. Internet.
I would be.
Yeah, you can't take it back.
I would be angry too if I hadn't had like a burger.
I wasn't going to be one of those people. I'm not going to talk about it. But
That's fine.
Everyone keeps bringing it up.
Well, it's news, and we talk about news, kind of.
I understand.
So,
spoiler.
Yeah, that's not a spoiler. There are no declarations of spoiler on here. So
spoiler.
Now, I think that being 7 episodes in, we should probably like recap that kind of.
Okay.
What we're doing is we'll watch movies, play games, read books, TV shows, the works, whatever. And once it's been out there for any real length of time, whether it be a day or a handful of hours, I really don't care.
Once it's legally acquirable.
Once it's out there, we're going to talk about it if we've gone through it, and we'll discuss it to whatever length we see necessary. And there's no declarations of spoilers. So if you're listening to a show called Spoilercast, and you're upset at the fact that we've given something away for you, do you really have anyone to blame but yourself?
It's true.
You can all go pound sand.
That you can pound sand. So, questions?
Poor
Jared,
sand. That guy's always just getting.
Why are we pounding sand?
Go kick rocks. So, is that better?
Rocks is always getting beat around.
That's true.
Yeah, man. Throwing them,
Everyone's
kicking
breaking
them, just having sex with them.
What?
Huh?
Rocks?
What? With rocks. No, it didn't.
I've been looking for the perfect excuse to use that one forever. And now I have one.
You're welcome.
Okay. So basically, if you are like, man, I'd really like to watch Annabelle or The Conjuring or probably any other scary movie in a couple of hours, but first I'm going to watch Spoilercast, that's a bad idea.
Well, it's not necessarily,
at least today.
It's not necessarily a bad idea. Just like I've told you in the past for myself, I will listen to somebody run through an entire movie that I am anticipating going and seeing, and I'll still go see it, and I'll still enjoy it. That does not bother me.
Sure.
So
this is really for a certain kind of people.
it kind of is.
Ironically, not me.
Yeah. Well. Yeah,
He's scared of scary movies, y'all.
I think he just doesn't like spoilers.
I don't like spoilers.
Way back when, he told me at one point in time, this is going to be a fun show to do as long as it doesn't become a show of let's spoil everything for Mike.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tonight, like you mentioned, we're doing the Porcelain Poltergeist. That is the title of the episode, but we're going to mainly focus on Annabelle and the movie The Conjuring, which is where Annabelle itself originated from. I suppose you'd say it that way, right?
It's kind of like in the prologue of the movie.
Yeah, but then the doll itself pops up a couple of other times in the actual movie, and then they decided to make its own movie for it because they postured it as this super duper evil thing, like it is the worst of the worst, right? I mean, he has a whole room. Ed Warren is the demonologist, right?
Ed and Lorraine Warren. They're
Lorraine
both
Warren.
demonologists.
There you go. I've been told that they have a website and everything. I don't have it pulled up here. I've got their Wikipedia pulled up. But anyhow, apparently he has an entire room with shelves and everything full of stuff that are either haunted or possessed. They serve as conduits for evil. And he equates it to in the movie as taking guns off the street and kind of puts them all in one single spot, which, by the way, I think is just a god-awful idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just about to say that.
It sounds like it's just an absolutely atrocious idea.
Well, it's a little bit different than guns because, a normal person could have a desire for guns.
Right.
No normal person on the street's going to be like, today I feel like I'm going to get a possessed object. I'm going to go seek one of those out and pick it up.
Right.
So if you go to a room that says, warning, all objects in here are covered in radiation, you're probably just going to be like, I'm going to leave this room alone.
Yeah. Well, you would think.
Well, yeah, people are stupid. That's the premise of most scary movies.
Right. So the thing is the point I'm making is he has this room full of all these evil, horrible things. And they don't get into all of them. By the end of the movie, you're only privy to two of them. One of them is Annabelle, and the other one's the little music box that they get during the movie The Conjuring, right? Those are the only two objects that you end up learning anything about.
Yeah, they've had a long and storied career.
Right.
50-plus years of kicking spectral ass.
The whole room is filled with stuff that is supposed to be bad, right? But Annabelle is the only thing inside of its own exclusive locked case.
Because no one's supposed to touch it, yeah.
Because it's like the worst of the worst. That's kind of how they prefaced that, right? It is this bad thing. Okay, you're in a locked room with all this other stuff with it inside of a locked case, all of its own. Does that say anything about what this thing is?
Yeah, you don't want. It's obviously something bad if it's a bunker inside a bunker.
Exactly. That's kind of my logic behind it. It's like this thing is so horrible, it deserves its own set of containment,
Yeah.
So then they decided, after they've postured it, and the daughter of Ed and Lorraine
Warren.
I wasn't going to say the last name.
Well, I thought that's what you were looking for.
They have a daughter in this movie, and partway through, the necklace that the mom is wearing gets lost inside of the house for The Conjuring. And because the necklace is connected to the daughter's necklace, somehow that ghost is able to jump over to their house. And the daughter ends up getting spooked out of her room and thinks that Annabelle's out, and she's freaking out. Ned shows up, and she's like, Annabelle's out of her cage. And so he goes running in there, and Annabelle's still in there, and he's like checking it, and he's like, okay, we're good. It's still in there. Like, makes a big deal about it. Everything that's going on with the house that they're dealing with, he puts all of that on pause, goes running into the other room to make sure that Annabelle's still in her box, right? And once it is, he's like, whew, we're good, right? Then they make a movie about Annabelle, and I am sorely disappointed in this movie.
Yeah, it's like, it's okay. It's not great, but with all the build-up,
it starts up really good, right? I mean, it explains how Annabelle the doll becomes Annabelle the doll, because at first it wasn't named Annabelle, it was just a doll. And then Annabelle Higgins, the long-lost missing daughter of the main character's neighbors,
creates a murder demon in it.
Right. And basically, starts off, they're at church with these people, and they're talking about how the daughter's been missing for a couple years, and your two main characters, they're pregnant, and so they're going to be having this baby, and they feel bad about talking about having the baby with the people that have lost their child, and the other ones, the dad's like, well, they didn't lose him, the kid ran away.
She's technically lost. They don't know where she is,
Right, but
they're not going to find her under the couch.
Right, he's like, the kid ran away. It's not nothing we should beat ourselves up over. The kid ran away, and the next scene after they've separated and they've gone to bed, lights kick on in the neighbor's house.
Almighty, that seems freaky as hell.
Lights kick on in the neighbor's house. The wife sits up. The husband gets up. You can see it because you're in your main characters, the pregnant woman and her husband. They're in their house looking across at the Higgins house. And you can see their window. And lights kick on. The wife sits up. The husband gets up, gets out of bed. And all of a sudden, blood like explodes up across the wall. And, of course, the wife screams. The lights go out. And the neighbors get killed. Both the neighbors get killed.
Welcome to the spoken word version of Annabelle.
Right. So, pregnant wife sits up, says she hears a scream. Husband goes over to check it out because he's a doctor, and he doesn't want to call the cops because apparently in this day and age, why would you call the police if you hear people
I thought
screaming?
he did call the cops.
He doesn't. He goes, because the wife actually makes the statement, if they heard me scream, I would hope they call the cops. And he was like, it's probably fine. Well, then he goes next door, remember? He goes next door. She follows him over there and starts calling out to him. He comes back out covered in blood. She's like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" He's like, "Go back home and call the cops. It's not my blood." And that's what separates her from him. And she goes back next door.
And then
that's when Annabelle Higgins, the person, is inside the house holding her doll, and she's like, "I like your dolls." And
yeah, it's a super freaky scene.
It is. And, of course, she's now focused on Annabelle, who's holding the dolls, not paying attention to her boyfriend, who is hiding in the closet, who sneaks out and stabs her in the side. And so she topples over to the ground. The husband comes running inside, starts struggling with him. The greatest response time of law enforcement ever happens because the cops come in like seconds after the husband comes running back in.
Did you see the neighborhood and also the color of their skin?
Okay, leave it alone. Leave it alone.
It's possible that during the first attack in the other house next door, that the cops had already been called.
But they didn't have time because the husband was already killed, and you didn't ever see her pick up the phone.
No,
I meant nobody else in the house.
The other family might have started calling already.
You mean the Higgins?
Yes, they could have started.
You watch them through the window the entire time. They literally sit up out of bed.
Oh, yeah.
The light kicks on. You see him go over, explode into blood, and then she ends up getting killed like a second after that. There was no time for them to pick a phone call.
Super cops.
Super cops. So they come running in, and super cops end up smoking the boyfriend, just shoot the crap out of him. Well, Annabelle's locked herself in the bedroom with the doll. She ends up killing herself and apparently casting some type of wooey magic in
Child's Play-esque thing happening.
Yeah, it was very Child's Play-esque.
Except for it's not her soul in the doll. It's
right. She ends up conjuring up like a demon that refers to itself as Annabelle. And it ends up residing within this doll. And the movie kind of goes on from there. And the whole time, that's just the first few minutes of the movie. And that's just how Annabelle's... The doll of Annabelle became Annabelle. That's all that was.
They kind of nailed that part.
Oh, they really
After
did.
that, it's like...
And then, once the doll's possessed, I mean, of course, they started off slow, where it's like rocking in a chair, or it's different places and things of that nature. And
classic haunting things.
It's the build-up of, okay, we're kind of easing into this. Well, then it starts really messing with just the wife. Not the husband, just the wife. And they don't really get into any specifics as to why. It just starts fucking with the wife.
That's also a pretty classic move, the kind of divide and conquer thing.
Yeah.
Especially women tend to be the actual main characters of any given horror movie.
Oh yeah.
So usually, there's reasons, and I made quotey fingers there for the rest of you internet. That could be made as to why they tend to be the target of supernatural things like that, with emotional instability and lady powers.
Sure, we'll go with that. Use your feminine wiles.
But 9 out of 10 times you see a couple in a haunting scenario, and it's going to be the wife experiencing it. The dude's like, "There's nothing going on," derp, 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 until he gets murdered.
Until he gets murdered,
or possessed, or anything,
or disappears or dies, and somehow the wife always ends up becoming stronger for it. Super.
I always appreciate it in a haunting movie whenever the first time something goes on, the wife's like, "Hey, something's going on." Husband's like, we're leaving then. Good.
Right.
Oh, what movie is that?
It doesn't
happen.
It doesn't
Yeah,
happen.
okay.
It doesn't happen.
That's called real life.
Yeah. See, my response to things is strike a flare, drop it on a pile of gasoline, and walk the fuck away. Because as I mentioned to you at one point in time, I clowns are just not a thing for me.
Okay. Yeah.
They're just not.
You know that they're a real thing, right?
Yeah. I try not to accept that.
The circus is happening right now.
Hey,
No, stop.
totally no.
No, what I was getting at though is
Completely unrelated thing. So Come and Go has buy one get one free tickets to the circus. I don't know if so I have a ticket. I don't know. Would you want?
I don't need a ticket to the circus.
I like turtles.
No.
That wasn't for me that time.
That
Whenever it goes off the rails, that just comes up.
So
Okay.
this hasn't derailed. It's still mildly on point. The reason I brought that up is a long time ago, my grandmother, she used to collect porcelain dolls, and
Ominous.
she had an entire room of them.
Also, good premise for you're already in a scary movie setting.
It was terrible. They freaked me out. But she found this is forever ago. She found 3 porcelain dolls that reminded her of her grandchildren, myself, my sisters, and she kept them and wanted them to be given to us when we grew up.
Not disconcerting at all.
No, and so my father graciously kept one of these things for me, and the one that reminded my grandmother of me. And he called me over one time. I was like, "Hey, I want to give this thing to you." And I'm like, "Okay." So I came over, and I didn't know what it was. I thought I was coming over for like camping equipment or something like that. He's like, "Hey, I got something over here for you." So I get over there, and he unbags this thing, and it's a porcelain clown.
Oh.
It's about 2.5, 3 feet tall,
I can see the resemblance.
and I was like, "Oh, okay."
What did I do to Grandma?
And he's like, she wanted you to have it, and it's for you. And he was honest with me. He's like, you can do whatever you want with it. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't bring myself to get rid of it because of where it came from, right? But I also can't bring myself to have it like in the house, so it's in my attic. And it sits there.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a perfect place for it to start a haunting. Good
Well,
job.
well, Mike pointed out to me at one point in time.
Yeah. So Roper, what? I know it's in your attic, but if you were to go home from this podcast and find that doll just like sitting at the foot of your bed,
I would
be like,
smash it to a gazillion million pieces and then burn
well,
whatever.
I mean,
remained.
it could have just been your wife.
Well-
maybe someone was just moving it. Okay, you put it back in the attic.
No,
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 Not
See,
even then. Not
no.
even if it's like logically someone probably. You're still like, fuck it, we're burning it.
Mike, how many times have I told you that rule number 1 is always overreact in a haunting scene?
You're right.
Hey, nothing ever bad came from overreacting right off the bat. It's like, well,
Right.
maybe I overreacted, and everybody looks at you like you're crazy for smashing the little doll to pieces. But then it's like, I just saved all of you
Yeah.
Potentially.
potentially.
Right.
We can't prove that now, but
Or you released the evil spirit, and now it's free to haunt us.
crap.
Depends on the kind of movie we're in.
That's
Yep.
true. Okay, so back
One
to,
way or another, you're boned.
back, back to Annabelle. So right off the bat, 4 people dead. 2 of them are considered the bad guys. It's Annabelle and her boyfriend. They were the ones that were actually coming over there being murderous and summoning demons and all that good stuff.
It's actually 4 people dead.
Asshole.
That's what I'm talking about. And then 4 people dead. The first 2 are Annabelle and her boyfriend that came over murderous and killing people and summoning demons. The other 2 were Annabelle's parents, and they're considered innocents in this regard, right? And then through the remainder of the movie Annabelle, 1 other person dies.
Ugh.
One.
Yeah. Yeah.
One person dies. She throws herself out of a window holding Annabelle and hopes to destroy the demon and also give up her soul on behalf of the
Yeah,
family.
Because, the logic for Mike here and for the internet, because Mike hasn't seen it.
Right.
Fie on you, Mike.
Fine.
The logic that this lady presents is that the demon is not going to leave under any circumstances until it gets the soul it wants, which is the baby.
Yeah, he wants the baby's soul.
So she's like, well, I'll just jump out this window, I guess, and it'll leave. No, apparently the doll is still a problem, still trying to take souls, so good job. You died for nothing.
Basically. I mean, don't get me wrong. It got Annabelle off of that family.
They just need to.
They scraped the tick off and then just let it go off onto somebody else.
It's rude.
And so by the end of the movie, they end up finding Annabelle off in some pawn shop, basically. And then this other lady comes in. She's like, "Oh, my daughter would love that thing." And of course, this is after it looks all warped and effed up with its eye all jacked up. I mean, it looks scary.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
that's a fucking common trope in these movies with possessed objects, which is what we're talking about today. Is people are like, "Oh, look at this cute doll," and it's like got like burn scars, and
It's
it
like
has this
Chucky
evil
from
smile.
Chucky 3.
It's covered in blood and like like dead kittens, and they're like, "This looks adorable. I'll give it to my son." Like,
I'll give it to my child. Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, my son's interested in African stuff," so they buy him like a Zuni fetish doll.
Like that is a critical thing in these movies, is that the main characters cannot recognize how obviously possessed this object is.
Yes.
Because no possessed object just looks like a Raggedy Ann doll. They're always like,
Actually,
oh,
there are a slew of possessed objects. Most of them look entirely harmless. The Hope Diamond is supposedly possessed.
Yeah.
Or not possessed, sorry. Cursed.
That's
a really sweet-ass car is supposedly cursed.
fair
Little
enough.
bastard.
Fair enough.
That thing is
What's
cursed.
What's the Stephen King? The car that's murdering people.
From a Buick 8.
The other one.
Carrie. Or Christine.
Christine.
I almost said Carrie, too, and I had to stop myself. Don't
Christine.
say anything.
Yeah,
Christine.
that car's just like whatever.
Well, yeah.
It's a normal car. It's running people over.
Just
It's running over specifically people who don't understand the idea of running to the side.
Or people who don't understand running over the car when it's trying to wedge you into a spot.
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
There are people who jump cars, right? All right, we're off topic.
No, we're on topic.
We're talking about
I
possessed
like turtles.
Thank you.
I just wanted that to happen.
possessed objects.
Possessed objects. Okay, so there is another movie that came out in 2013 that was called Oculus. That
Oh God.
Yep.
hey, now even though I would,
Is that possessed?
Yes.
it is. Well, it's
there
would
is
you
a
call it-
haunting within the object, so yes,
yeah.
it's possessed.
There's something with the actual mirror.
Okay, yeah.
For those of you that don't know, there is a mirror that is referred to as the Oculus, and for as long as this thing has been
I don't
around,
think they ever refer to it as the Oculus.
They-
They call it the Blackwood something or another.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's called Oculus because it's a sight device.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. Well, then and of course, all the murdered ones ends up having
Mirror eyes.
Mirror
yeah.
eyes. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. The movie itself, it was okay.
It was okay.
It was okay.
It was
It's the movie
serviceable.
where I decided that I just don't like her as an actress.
Amy Pond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's her real name now.
She gets stabbed by an anchor. Spoiler.
Yeah, right through the back of the skull.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Well, here's my
Yeah.
question: does she get naked?
No.
No.
Then I don't want to watch it.
Yeah, I know, right?
So she eats what she thinks is an apple, which
Oh, yeah.
turns out to be a light bulb, which
But then turns out to be an
not
apple.
be a light bulb. It's an apple.
Yeah.
The Oculus jacks with you more than anything. What I'm getting at is the Oculus or the mirror from the movie The Oculus versus Annabelle is far more deadly.
Yes.
Worlds more deadly.
That's what Annabelle could have been, because
Exactly.
Annabelle was something that they were that concerned about it.
Exactly.
You expect that to be like, this is going to put you through such torture,
right.
Mental,
if this is
physical.
if this is Ed Warren's room of guns off the street, Annabelle's a nuclear device.
Yeah.
Well-
because it's under lock and key even furthermore. But then you've got things like this, which, like I said, the movie was like, meh, but it draws it out. I mean, it sucks the life out of those around it. It sucks the life out of plants. It kills the animals. It turns the parents against one another. I mean, it leaves a wake of bodies behind it.
True.
And it protects itself completely. And it, does so in a rather genius fashion.
It basically just makes you never realize you're fucking with it.
Exactly.
But the defense I can put against that, against Annabelle, is with an object like that, the mirror, that is so clearly a problem
Right.
that it should never be a problem. Anybody buying that mirror is an idiot.
But the thing is they don't tether the history with it, so you don't necessarily know where it came from. And any of the people that died as a result of it all appear to be suicide, so you wouldn't associate it with the actual mirror itself.
Suicides or torture murders, that's happened quite a few times.
Well, that's true.
I mean, it was a fairly simple thing for Amy Pond,
right?
Karen Gillian,
Yeah.
Yep.
To look up like 20 some odd different deaths surrounding the mirror.
Yeah, but even when she presented it to her brother, who, mind you, was there with her when these things were happening,
Who was also in denial because he just spent the last few years in a sane asylum.
Nevertheless, she still presented the argument to him and said, "Look, here's what I found on it." And he looked at her like she had an arm growing out of the side of her head. Like, no, I mean, that stuff doesn't happen. And until he watched himself on camera while they were having a discussion, which, by the way, that was actually a really cool scene where they were having an argument,
And they were just standing there.
and they're standing there having an argument with one another, and the next thing they know, they look around, they're in another room, and they're like, "What in the world?" And she's like, "Yes!" Runs back in the other room and hits the playback. Well, the cameras are now facing one another, and so she watches the one that's independently mounted up on the wall, and it's them moving everything around the room, having the exact same dialogue as they were from the other scene, setting everything up and putting it there. It's that scene was actually very well done. I think
There's a lot of missed opportunities in that movie, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it really felt like that movie could have completely just mind-fucked you, but in the end, it kind of just ultimately ends up being like, oh.
yeah,
That would have been a good scenario for her to have had a heavier anchor, by the way. Something that could have carried through her body.
threw her into the mirror.
Yeah. Or to just set a bomb. I mean, bombs work.
Maybe.
Well, it's clearly concerned about an anchor, so bomb beats anchor.
Well,
I mean, when you're playing Anchor Bomb's boat, bomb beats both of them.
So, where are you going somewhere with this?
no, I'm just pointing out that whenever it comes to a lot of these horror movies, there are a lot of there's potential that's there, right? And certain ones do things really well with the cursed objects. But what I'm saying is, with Annabelle, they prefaced it in The Conjuring. They set it up as if that's what it is.
Yeah.
And then they showed us the movie.
And it was just a very basic.
And it was very basic. And,
Yeah.
and that's why I'm like, it's kind of disappointing.
What do you got, Jareth? Like, can you think of any movies like that kind of fall into this category that actually make you go like, I will never fuck with that object?
Well, like, cursed object is a pretty broad category.
Yeah.
Because, like, as you and I have discussed independently, people tend to limit what an object is, but it's not very limited. A house is an object. A person is an object.
Sure.
So,
A spaceship could be an object.
a spaceship could be an object. Oh, God, Event Horizon. Christ.
That's also a very
Thank
good
you for leading me to that. The
That
movie
is-
still freaks me out.
That is a great movie.
Yeah.
That is a great movie.
Very.
And of course, it's that integrates technology into the deal, where it's like we forced space time to fold around on itself, and then we passed through a point which we believe is flat against one another. The thing is that you slipped off into, well, basically non-existence.
Well, hell.
And
Potentially. I mean,
yeah, well, they don't really define it as that. They don't know what it is that you've slipped off into.
Chaos
You
incarnate.
basically, but that's the thing. With a movie like that,
See that?
do you really call it?
Yeah, I was going to
Curse
say,
or-
isn't that
or
a
haunting?
haunting? Isn't that like a ship is like a house?
But would you refer to that as either a curse or a haunting? For all we know, it's
A
extraterrestrial.
haunted ship.
well, I would say it is possessed.
Would it?
Because Sam Neill's character in that dies and returns as Sam Neill still.
Right.
Just super evil Sam Neill.
Right.
Almost Pinhead Sam Neill.
Right. Oh,
There for a
hey,
little bit.
there's another great cursed object.
Oh yeah, actually yes, that one. The cube in
Yeah.
the entire Hellraiser series.
Yep.
Don't dick with it.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Ever.
Nope.
Ever.
Nope.
Ever.
Nope.
After the first one, like everybody who's messing with it after that point's like, oh, I know what this is. I read about this, or
Then why
then
are
they're
you
like,
even-
whoa, this is it's just a thing. Well,
Hey, look,
no,
guys,
it's just
it's a weird metallic evil cube. Let's take the Nope train to fuck thatsville.
yeah. I don't feel like getting raped by chains.
Right. I mean,
Well, some days
hey.
it's just get raped by chains day, but
Now, there's the Another movie that's actually pretty recent is Sinister, which they were kind of going with a cursed object, which is the
films?
The films, but those aren't really what's causing it. It's more or less this. Would you call it a demon?
He's supposedly a deity, so he's not a demon in the sense that a lot of people understand. He's like he's a evil god, basically,
and it feeds off of stripping the innocence out of things. That's what he's doing with the kids, right? Isn't that what the idea is? Because
yes,
they're
but
coming
when
out
you
with,
say it like that, it sounds a lot different.
right? But they're coming out with a second one of that.
I heard,
which is
I'm
supposed
actually kind of
to.
excited.
Yeah, it's supposed to elaborate on that creature, which I don't even. I'm trying to find the name of it.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's something super crazy sounding though.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it.
So, like with these kinds of movies, I guess I'm curious. So we look at Annabelle, and we end up coming out with just a very bland movie. I mean, it works on some levels, and on many levels it doesn't.
Yeah, it balances out. It's strong to start, and then it gets weak in the middle, and then
Oculus is a not great movie, but it ends up kind of like, when you just look at the object, you're like, that did its job really well.
too well.
Yeah, too well. I guess I'm like, what?
Mr. Boogie.
Sure.
That is, they talk about his actual name.
Well, it says right here. I'm actually reading the Wikipedia from Sinister. I'm going to be about halfway down. It's Ellison discovers childish drawings depicting the murders, along with a crude sketch of the demonic figure identified as, air quotes, Mr. Boogie.
Yeah, but he goes to a guy later, and they talk about the entity itself with a new name, like an actual not kid name. I think.
Okay, one night Ed spots, and it's Bughuul.
What?
Bughuul. Bughuul.
Ah, okay, yeah.
In
that's
the
name.
bushes, and rushes outside, armed with a baseball bat, only to find Trevor having experienced yet another night terror, and rushes him back inside.
Anyway, so what are what I'm driving at here is, like, what are the common pitfalls of these kinds of movies that kind of piss us off, as maybe Annabelle did?
Well, like I said, with Annabelle, you would expect a lot more. You would expect, like, everyone in that movie to end up dead.
Yeah.
You would expect nothing to have walked away from her.
Mm-hmm.
Happy endings are kind of a cheap. Like Oculus did that right. Everyone walked away from that bad.
If you're gonna have
Everyone
movie
walked away from that bad.
Yeah, if you're gonna have a movie about demons and, like, people getting tortured and killed, and even if the movie ultimately is about defeating this evil, it has to come at a very great cost. There really just can't be a happy ending.
Well, technically, a person died to save the people in Annabelle.
It's a person we didn't care about, though.
Oh, rude. Why? Because she's African American?
No, no, because they introduced her like
Halfway through, like,
yeah.
only kind of a little bit.
Yeah, they bump into her like twice, and then like she becomes her best friend, the pregnant mom's best friend.
Weirdly, just all of a sudden.
Yeah, and the way they first positioned her with like the bookstore and whatever, I was thinking what they were going to do is the Catholic priest was going to show up to, take care of this deal, and that was going to fail, and she was going to be the one with the answers to like get rid of it, right?
Which would have been better.
Which would have been a little bit better. Instead of it being your traditional, hey, you need to rely on the church kind of thing in order to take care of your demon deal, how about this lady who they kind of set her up there for a second where you thought she was going to be like a Wiccan or something of that nature, and that would have allowed them to go off on a different tangent. Instead, she was like, oh, I've lost my daughter too, and all these bad things, oh, woe was me. And she's like, oh, a child needs her mother, and she flings herself out the window holding the doll.
Yeah, that just doesn't make sense as a character on many levels.
Now, if that person would have splatted on the ground
And then the
right?
doll just gets up and leaves.
And well, no, not the doll gets up and leaves, but it's like because I mean they had the scene where Annabelle was laying in the bed, and the mother picks up Annabelle, and she's like, "I'm not giving you my child's life," and starts smashing it over the rail, and then chucks it into the other room, and like it pans around the back of her head, and it's the baby laying over there on the ground, and she thinks that she just beat her child to death over the side of the crib and threw it across the room. Because Annabelle, this demon thing, is obviously messing with your perception on reality, right? Mm-hmm. What would have been better is this lady's holding the doll, plunges out the window, and everybody's like, "Whew, we're safe." And then in reality, Annabelle didn't actually go out the window. The lady just threw herself out the window with the child.
That is fucked
That
up.
would have been much more horrible, and they're still trapped with the doll.
Yeah.
And then they get killed themselves. And I don't know, maybe the Catholic priest shows up after the fact, scoops up this doll, and decides that it needs to go off someplace and be destroyed. The problem is Annabelle ends up killing him finally because she gets him hit by, a car?
Something like that.
And he ends up getting hospitalized. So here he is, and she's like, "Well, I'll finally get you." And then that's how she ends up in this other shop. Then, in that scenario, you've not only killed off the parents of Annabelle Higgins, you've not only killed off Annabelle and her boyfriend, you've also killed off the mother and the father and the child and the friendly black lady.
Anybody who has a name is dead.
Everyone in that movie would have walked away from it completely and utterly dead.
So,
Now-
okay. So big pitfall obviously is low body count.
Correct.
If this object is possessed and it's like normally if we're talking about a possessed object, it's like
You're
there's
kind of a terrible demon
big
if you can
scary
only-
demon.
Yeah, if you can only walk away with one dead body in this thing. From the time that the doll becomes possessed to the end of the movie, the only body that goes to the doll version of Annabelle is the black lady. That's it.
Yeah, if
Well,
you're
sorry, to be fair, it's potentially had far more bodies associated with
No.
it since then.
No, it doesn't.
yeah, but that doesn't count because it wasn't in the movie.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, and I can prove it because the next thing that happened from there, the very end of that movie, it's sitting in the shop, and the lady comes
And it
in
goes
and purchases
straight to
it straight to the nurses, and then at the beginning of the movie The Conjuring, the nurses are sitting there with Annabelle, with Ed and Warren, who are having this discussion about how it's like going around and it's moving itself and it's doing all these things.
Yeah.
It never does anything. There is a year's time difference between the movie Annabelle and The Conjuring. It says so at the very beginning of the movie. It has no
you're right.
further bodies. There are nothing else that happens because otherwise you know good and well that those two nurses that are sitting there with Ed and Warren would have been like, "It's killed 9 of my friends."
right. You'd have so much more to say.
I would, you'd definitely bring it up.
But
maybe
instead, they're like, its head's in a different position, and its hands are moving, and it's in different rooms. It's like,
it's also a super freaky looking thing. I mean,
and it's drawing all over the wall saying, "Did you miss me?"
Maybe that's just like
That's
a
just
creepy
creepy.
ex-boyfriend.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's the level you're at is creepy ex person.
But it's not. It's not at that.
Annabelle
it's
is
not that
literally
level.
is just like the person who's like writing you on Facebook like I miss you.
Yeah.
Like, that's the level they're at.
So it's possible that they reined the movie in the sense of making it not as good in an effort to make it line up more with the case files of Ed and Lorraine Warren. I don't know how much of those they had access to, or obviously whether or not any of that is true. Of course,
Right.
So it's possible they were like, okay, we're telling this story that is semi-historical, so we're gonna not like throw in a bunch of extra dead people.
I like I said, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you. The Conjuring is way better.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it really is. It is because they've got like 9 or 10 ghosts that are roaming around, and they're all warped out of their mind.
And one of
because-
them's a witch ghost.
Yeah, that's the one that's causing all of it, though. That's the origin of why that place is all messed up.
It's actually interesting. I watched a documentary on that particular haunting instance like years ago.
Yeah.
So like I was like, I got I found out wow a couple of years ago just before The Conjuring came out that it was happening, and I saw it was the an Ed and Lorraine Warren story, and I was like super excited because I like them.
Oh, they're real people?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're real people.
Those are.
That's why I said kept saying Ed is dead.
Yeah,
Oh,
those
he's
are
dead.
Those are factual individuals.
Interesting.
They're
Yeah.
real demonologists. They've been around doing stuff for a long time.
Huh.
Edward.
They've potentially helped a lot of people.
Edward, or Ed Warren, from September 7th, 1926 to August 23rd of 2006.
Yeah.
And looks like Lorraine is born January 31st, 1927, and currently doesn't have she's 88. Doesn't have a death date for her yet.
She's still kicking.
She hasn't died yet.
What was I going to say? I was saying something.
You were saying something.
Talking about Ed and Lorraine Warren that you'd seen the
You were so
documentary.
excited.
Yeah, I was excited to see that, and then as I was watching the movie, I was like, I recognize these events. I mean, they're dramatized, obviously, but I was like, that seems. Wait a second, and then I was like, I know how this ends. I know where this goes.
That make you a little happy?
It did.
Yeah,
I did, because I'm into that stuff.
So we were going to do a different episode tonight, but we decided to put that particular episode on hold, pushed off for a later point in time, and it's being rescheduled. And kind of 2 weeks ago, I decided that we needed to do this episode, and I told you about it, and I told Jareth about it, and he was on board with it, and I told Mike about it, and Mike was mildly on board about it. He was kicking himself over missing last week's episode, or the last episode. But then he's like, "Oh, Jareth is something of our resident expert in regards to."
I wouldn't call myself an expert.
Well, I can't think of a horror movie you haven't seen, so I'm not asking anyone to think of a movie that you haven't seen, but I'm just saying if I thought of a horror movie, I can guarantee you've seen it.
Yeah.
Your horror movie repertoire is fairly limited, though.
That's true.
So,
Dire Monkey, think of a horror movie.
Showgirls.
Boom!
Seen it repeatedly. Well, several of the scenes repeatedly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my favorite scary movie.
I can't believe you didn't have a sound thing ready for that immediately.
Bam!
All right, that's a bit belated, but Josh, put that in post.
Yeah. You can do that.
No, actually don't. Just leave it right where it's at, including this discussion. Okay.
This is so meta.
Okay, so back on point. So we decided to name the episode Porcelain Poltergeist. It's a double P word there. And we were toying with the name.
Alliteration.
Yeah, we were trying to come up with a good title for it. We weren't coming up with much, and I kind of on a fly figured this one out, and Josh was down with it. And I was telling another one of my coworkers that we were going to name it Porcelain Poltergeist. And he laughed and said it reminded him of a character from a Sega Genesis video game from way back in 1993. And I actually pulled it up here. It's called Haunting. Apparently, one of the things within this house, the objective was to scare these people that were living inside this house out of their house. He ended up, the polter guy in this movie could possess...
Game.
No. It refers to your main character as Poltergeist.
No, you said in this movie.
Oh, I'm sorry. Game, yes. In this, he ends up, I guess, possessing a toilet and having some kind of monster pop out of the actual toilet itself.
That'd work on me.
And so whenever I refer to this as Porcelain Poltergeist, his brain immediately jumped to that.
Yeah, okay.
And not Annabelle.
Yeah.
Because why would it go to a creepy doll?
I'm good with that association.
So I am curious about that kind of because I feel like with these movies, it's always like we were talking about earlier. It's like if this happened to me, immediately I know what I would do. We're abandoning the house. We're burning all this shit down. Jareth, okay,
yeah,
the resident expert. I'm trying to think. What's cliche horror situation with possessed object? I mean, whatever. There's a creepy ass doll in the house.
Oh no! It's The Ring. You got the movie for The Ring.
Is The Ring? Is that a possessed?
I would. Yeah, that is a possessed object.
It's a cursed object.
You know what? That's actually one for me that in real life, if you've now seen the video,
you're boned.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Nothing.
Show it to someone else. That's that's the only way.
Just pass it on down the line.
Yeah.
That's pretty much, that's the only, those are the good kind of cursed objects. They're harder to make a movie about. Obviously, The Ring did it. But it's like, once you've come in contact with it, it's too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're already boned. Like, Candyman or, some sort of thing like that. Like, once you've, it's a curse that you don't. It's like, oh, it's not a curse, and then you're like, oh crap, it's a curse.
You know what that actually reminds me of, and it's kind of off point, but it's the movie Watchmen, right there at the very end where they confront the bad guy.
Oh yeah, it already happened.
And they were like, "Oh, well, we're going to stop you." And he's like, "What? You think I'd tell you my plan if I didn't already have it in the bank?" And then at that point in time, the explosions are already happening, and it's already done and over with.
Yeah.
Well, in this same regard, it's like, it's not a cursed object. It's it's just a movie. And then you sit down, and you watch it, and then the next thing you know,
7 days, and you're like,
you know,
oh fuck,
your brains are melting out of your eyeballs.
and your face gets really jacked up at I don't.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what it is that happens to you. All I know is I don't want it to happen to me.
Right.
That's where I land on that. Anyway, Jareth.
Yeah.
Creepy doll. Okay, so let's say Roper dies,
Right.
and we inherit his doll that his grandmother gave him.
The one that reminds her of May.
We don't know where to
Okay.
put it, so it's just kind of sitting on our couch for a little while because we're lazy and our house is really messy.
No, we would not keep it on the couch.
Okay, but we just leave it there and go to bed because we're tired. Whatever. Just let me have this hypothetical.
All
you
right.
come out of your room the next morning, and the doll is like fucking sitting on top of the refrigerator, or like just outside of your room. No, the doll's in your bedroom.
There you go.
It's sitting like on your lap when you wake up. Not
Not like that. No,
not
no.
like that.
Not like that.
That would be a different movie.
All right,
That's
first,
the way my doll sits. I don't know about you guys.
Real doll.
Yeah.
Great.
guys, the lights just came on out there.
Well,
I think you're still in
Company. Yeah.
uh
Game of Thrones watch party.
Here. Ah, okay.
oh okay.
oh,
So they're doing that, huh?
it's very startling because we're talking about this, and then it's like
Is it
Yeah.
messing with you a little bit there?
a little bit.
Okay.
Doll in your lap. It's possessed. Clearly evil. Well, okay. We don't have evidence, but whatever. It's creepy.
It could have been Mike going into your room and setting it on your lap for
Right.
all you
That's first step. First step is remove the doll from my body.
Yeah.
Okay.
Promptly go ask Mike if he's just being a dick, and let him know it's not funny at all.
Yeah.
And so after you've established that it was not in fact him,
Then, well, I go to my local diocese.
Your local diocese, which is where would we find that in Springfield?
I don't know. Internet is great.
Okay.
I think I've seen. I think I've seen the diocese here somewhere.
Okay.
Anyway, I go get a higher up priest. Wait,
Right.
is that the address?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought he was just like, this is where it's at. I don't
I
know.
visit the local diocese on a daily basis.
I don't know.
He has a real doll. He has to.
We're getting married.
That's why he needs a priest. It's
Yeah.
not. I inform them. They will probably promptly tell me to go eat a dick.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
are you a member of the church? Are you a member of the church? You'd say no, and they go eat a dick.
No, if they ask me that in this scenario, I would be like, yes.
Indeed.
Here's where
yeah.
I go.
I
just
think
stay
it'd
in
be
the
more. Some priests might be more like, eat this dick.
back. Yeah.
Might be what they would
Well,
say.
he's not young enough.
Oh, true.
Easy.
Well, then I would try to
Just went real
remove
dark.
the doll from my presence.
Yes.
We're
Pref-
talking about demons
Okay,
and cursed
so-
objects, and it just went dark when we talked about
A little
that.
bit. Yeah.
Pedophilia? No, I can see it. Okay. so
That's
you
the
try to-
line? That's the line we're going to cross?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. That makes sense. So you try to remove the doll from your presence. How?
Salted earth, iron box, buried it.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
Preferably an iron box that has like a crucifix on it.
Okay. So what if
So what do you do when you come home from that and it's sitting on your bed?
well, then that means you went with the wrong religion.
True. You start cracking open new books.
Yeah.
So actually, that brings me to a point. I was talking to Jareth about this. In like the horror movie scenarios where, it's like what can you do? There's a and it's like how do you know what religion you need to pick for
See,
the given haunting?
that's why I really like the TV show Supernatural.
It's a good show.
They're like, well, we're going to cast a real wide net and see what sticks. They do the spaghetti technique. They just toss stuff at it until it works.
First rule is find out what it is.
Right.
So research the doll. If the
Yep.
doll has it was possessed by an Assyrian noble or something,
Yep.
then I'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to start targeting things in that area.
Right. See, that's what I really like about that particular show is that they sit there and they actually put some effort into it. Like, okay, well, we need to, instead of being like Catholicism.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
The show's kind of gone downhill though in the newer season.
Well, yeah, but
I didn't like it as much.
yeah, when you've gotten to 10 seasons in, I mean, you gotta.
So anyway, I feel like a pretty logical thing to do in like the possession or haunting situation is to use that method.
Right.
The only character I can think of in a movie that does that is that guy in The Mummy, who when the mummy's coming at him, I think he starts with like a cross, and that doesn't work, and then he pulls out like a whole bunch of all the other religious symbols. My theory is that he just didn't have the right one. Like
He just needed a cat.
he had like 17 of them. He just needed a cat.
Yeah.
If he had a living cat, that would have worked.
Well, that's what happened because they spooked the mummy off with a cat
So
at a later point in time.
lesson learned: always keep a cat with you at all times.
That's actually a good rule of thumb.
Actually, it is.
And a towel.
And a towel.
Well, if we break into sci-fi.
Right. I'm allowed to cross whatever bridge I'd like. So
Not if I burn it while you're on
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So if we're on the, if we're in Event Horizon,
right.
Cat would no longer help.
cat would no longer help. But if you have a towel,
but a towel would. See.
I hesitate in any scenario where somebody died in that movie that a towel might have helped them.
I know.
you can at least mop up the floor.
Well, you could squeegee up their remains.
Okay, yeah. Towel would help.
Have you guys seen the movie Mama?
Yes.
Isn't that Guillermo del Toro?
It's pronounced Guillermo.
It's pronounced Guillermo.
Guglielmo.
Googly elbow.
That was a Game Grumps reference.
Yeah,
just
it
so no
is.
one thinks we're stealing a joke.
I mean, I kind of am, but we're giving credit where credit's due.
So that movie was a haunting. Starts
Yes.
off at the house, but then the kids go to the house, and then the kids become
The kids
Haunted?
are, in a
There's a lot
sense,
of question
possessed. In the broader sense of the word possession, they are possessed.
by the ghost that was originally possessing the house that they were in.
Yes.
Well, what would you consider it then?
It's a
It's a
possession.
possession, Okay. yeah.
Because they are obviously the core of the word possession is to be possessed,
Right.
not necessarily to be inhabited.
Right.
So if a demon or an entity of a spiritual nature has claimed you and has now attached itself to you, you are possessed. In this case, it's the younger daughter who
It's
feral.
It's both of them. But the
Mostly
older
her.
one starts to kind of divvy away from it, and the younger one is like, "Mama."
Yeah, she's still like she's just balls in on it.
She's drinking the Kool-Aid, something fierce.
That's a crazy looking ghost though.
The cherry Kool-Aid. She's drinking the cherry Kool-Aid like nobody's business.
It's super. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, "That's a really weird looking person."
Yeah.
I was like, "I'm like, yeah, that's not at all."
Oh no! Have you seen that one, Mike?
No.
Because that thing is horrible looking.
Yeah, leave
They
it
do
to-
they do a really good job at that making that thing look messed up.
Well, Guillermo del Toro has a long history of making things that are just really surreal and upsetting looking.
Yeah,
Like the Pale Man.
yeah.
Yeah, with the hand eyes.
The hand eyes.
I
Yeah,
don't like him. He freaks
I don't like
me
that
out.
at all.
that would make a great D&D monster.
It is
wouldn't
kind of like it, but it is kind of like somewhere between just goofy as hell and really creepy.
I would say it probably wouldn't make a very good D&D monster.
I think it would make a great
because
D&D
it'd
monster.
have to kick you, otherwise it'd stop being able to see you.
Doesn't matter. I think it would be a great because it has its design flaw, right? And so you have means of being able to stop it, but like with most things in D&D, I like to attack eyes because once you can't see me, I can fight you a little bit better.
Also, there's very rarely
with this thing having to hands that can move them eyes all over the place. It's harder to deal with.
just wear really spiky clothes.
Yeah, and then have it hug you.
And that's just a good way to live life. Just wear spiky clothes.
Is that why you wear spiky clothes?
Yeah.
I do enjoy the chainmail.
So okay, so it seems like we might be coming close to winding down. So
We are.
Jareth, do you have like a favorite kind of in this spectrum of
Like
Possession.
haunting movies
Possession.
or possessions?
possession? Exorcist? Like I can't believe The Exorcist hasn't come up once in all of this.
No.
Well,
I guess that's not a possessed object.
a person is an object.
Yes. People.
Well, that explains a lot about your social life.
That's why at the very beginning of this is why you were talking. People limit what they qualify as objects or possessible objects. It can be anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the Amityville Horror is also a possession, actually, in a less than broad sense, because a person becomes possessed in it, but the location is supposedly possessed. It's in the narrower sense, it's kind of a difficult one to nail down, because you never really think of that genre, like the subgenre of.
I guess the best way. See, like, things that are scary are, like, your favorite things that are scary are different than anything else, because your favorite thing that is scary is something that you do not ever want to come in contact with. Your favorite scary thing is the thing that you never, ever want to encounter in your life, as opposed to your favorite actress or your favorite science fiction movie. Your favorite science fiction movie, you want to be in that. Same with your favorite actress, maybe.
Wow.
But,
I would love to be
your
in
favorite, your favorite, scary movie. That's not anything you want to come near, so that's why I'm like...
I'd say Event Horizon's probably my favorite scary movie. I have to work up a lot of courage to watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I feel like that takes the cake right there, then.
Does it? Mike, what's yours?
Okay. I'm just ready for all the groans.
Care Bears.
It's The Ring for me.
Is
The
it?
Ring really did do it.
Did
a
it?
lot of those like Japanese horror movies just mess with me.
They do tend to be more
it's the
psychological.
Doom.
Not The Grudge?
It's the Doom. No. It's the Doom and like the inevitability and the psychological nature of it, I think.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the
And
things
also
that
the fact
turns me
that-
off of those.
I think also the fact that in order to conquer it, you have to serve it. You have to. And you have to do something bad. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What about you, Roper?
For me, I liked the original Poltergeist.
Okay.
Good movie.
I did.
Yeah.
They're getting ready to turn around and make that one over again.
Are they?
Yeah, they're coming out with a new rendition.
We need to have a bonus episode where we show Jareth the trailer and he reacts to it.
Yeah.
God, it's going to be awful, isn't it?
No, it actually looks pretty promising.
It's going to be awful.
It looks promising.
They better not jack up Poltergeist. They just need to do it over.
Yeah.
They just need to do it again.
First problem?
Well, I think from what I've looked at on nothing more than the trailer, they kind of speed up the process.
First problem is TVs do not make that kind of static anymore.
Well,
Why is it doing that?
But if it's a Poltergeist, they can do what they
So
want.
it was just like a creative decision on the side of the Poltergeist?
Maybe.
There's a creepy clown in it, right?
There is a creepy clown in it. And,
Yeah, super rapey creepy
So-
clown.
So it is not... I mean,
No.
that's not possessed. I know that. but-
Okay, so if you want to do that to me, I can't, and I'm completely honest about this, I can't watch Rocky Horror Picture without seeing Tim Curry as it.
Can you watch Legend without seeing him as it?
Yes, because he looks more like,
Satan.
yeah.
Oh, that's fine. He's okay when he's Satan, but
But if he's a clown,
Yeah,
no, fuck
forget
that shit.
noise.
A
It's a
giant
giant
space
spider
spider.
clown, yeah.
Yeah, because to Roper, Satan doesn't exist. Clowns are everywhere.
That is a true statement. See, okay, you don't understand. My mother-in-law works with a lady that I guess apparently also does like actual dress up as a clown, and we were at a parade down in the city that they live in, and she came walking up dressed as a clown. I
reaching behind your back.
I had to like start to walk away, and everybody was like, "You know who this is? You see them like on a regular basis." I'm like, "I can't do it. I can't do it. No." And I'm like, "I'm leaving." No. And
You're like a 7-year-old that the parents are having to be like, "That's Aunt Karen, Matt.
Yeah,
It's
and I'm
Aunt
like-
Karen. Don't worry."
I don't know what you're doing over there on your phone, but if it's something to do with the clown, I will kick you in your pants.
well, sort of. Coulrophobia, fear of clowns.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, quick on the draw there, Jared.
Yeah, yeah.
COULO.
Dire Monkey, do you have any weird clown sounds? Any
Don't you dare.
weird?
That's not.
I went to clown college.
You sound like Goofy.
That's not doing anything for me, and I'm glad.
Oh,
That's all I got.
Okay, so the Joker doesn't fit in that genre for me.
No, because he's not really a clown.
he's not a
just
clown.
How about that?
Hey,
dance party. What if like 17 clowns came in here dancing to that song?
They start party boying you.
Surprise! It's your birthday present.
Oh man,
I would.
We set this whole thing up just for that moment.
Okay, so we had an issue there with some of our studio equipment. Everything kind of surged and shut off.
did anyone else hear the weird laughing that was happening?
Yeah, but what I really heard was the sound of the. It sounded like the power strip kicking. It was that real loud pop, and then everything went off. We've double checked everything. Dire Monkey's everything working?
It appears to be so far.
Okay,
So far, so good.
yeah. So that's a thing. That's kind of oddly timed. We haven't ever had that happen before. Have you ever had that happen on one of your other podcasts?
Not on a podcast. I've had it happen on a stream.
Okay.
So how much did we lose?
I don't know.
Okay.
We'll have to examine that at a later point in time.
Great.
So, in conclusion, don't mess with
Cursed objects.
cursed objects or alleged cursed objects. It's not worth it.
Probably that fucking priest joke.
Yeah.
The Catholic Church is probably stepping in.
Yeah. They can audio dub us from a distance.
Using their nun magic.
Well, they do have a direct line to the all-powerful, supposedly.
Allegedly.
Just saying.
Okay. So, this has been our seventh episode. Like I said, Porcelain Poltergeist. Yeah, we should, about 2 weeks, have our next episode. And I just shut my computer off, so I can't even pull up the schedule yet again to figure out what the next one's going to be.
It'll be very close to the release of Age of Ultron, I can say that much.
Oh, that's going to be so good. I know, I cannot wait.
Not close enough, but we have an episode for that, right? Are
Oh,
we doing
yes.
that?
Yeah,
God, yeah.
Good, because I want to be able to justify that as a business reason for going to see that.
Fantastic. We're actually doing a 2-hour episode for, I think Josh is calling it Excelsior, for its nothing but Marvel discussion.
Okay.
I don't know that I can fill 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we can-
I need to watch Daredevil and
It'll have
all that shit.
the three of us, myself, Mike, Jareth, Dire Monkey, you'll obviously be here. And then we'll have Josh and Josie. So,
boy.
They'll be phone-ins. They're not actually going to tangibly be here.
Dire Monkey was just like, oh, shit.
Yeah,
We're going to fly them all down.
No.
I'll figure it out.
Well,
It'll be good.
Well, we've done with just our laptops like that before on Hangouts. I mean, it wasn't a challenge.
It is when you have recording equipment.
Yeah, it gets difficult.
Okay. Well, we've got time. It's a while out. Anyhow, so here we are at Spellbook Studios. We again appreciate their assistance in moving forward with our progression and growth with Spellbook Studios. Make sure you jump over and check out their sites over at spellbook.com and give some of you enjoy our shows. You give some of his shows a listen. I'm sure that you'll.
They're a whole lot worse.
We really are the lesser of two evils.
Is it? Okay. So, do you have anything you want to add, Mike?
Yeah, if you guys are watching this on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe because we love you.
We do.
And you should love us too.
We do.
Or comment. I commented. It was my first YouTube comment ever.
What was your
Yes.
comment, Jareth?
I said, Seal of the Apocalypse says arf arf in episode 6.5. Because I wasn't there to be on that episode.
Yeah, that's because you were on with me on episode 6. So
Well,
Mike didn't get a chance to be on there with me. So we had to cover just a little bit there.
Also
So-
because I was working.
Yeah, there's that. But anyhow, we appreciate everybody. We've had hundreds of downloads at this point in time.
That's too many.
No, we've had 100
100
plus.
plus is what I'm trying to say, not hundreds of downloads. So give us a listen, share us, like us, add us on Facebook, send us
Hug
comments.
us
all
when
that
you
good
see us
stuff.
on the street.
Don't do that.
I thought you wore spiky clothes.
I do.
Okay.
That's why I wear them, so that people can hug me.
All right. Well, guys, you all be safe out there, and thanks for listening to us again.